So, as I sit here with Mr. Simon Cousins. Hello, Mr. Cousins. I have just spent an amazing 2 hours going around, thrown back in the 1940s with more memorabilia than one can imagine. Simon is not a watch collector. Simon is a period collector of everything to do with local Maltese history. So the journey has been amazing, and his watch collection is exceptional. It's got pieces which really make any watch collector, humbles any watch collector, basically. I will end the video with this particular piece, which is boxed at the moment. We will not be opening it yet. I really think you should stick around. What is in this box is something extremely special. So we'll leave that aside for now. So, Simon, what is your history with watches?
They kind of came to me by accident. They were mostly, I would say, incidental.
Nice.
They were either part of another acquisition, or they were kind of hitting me at a particular moment in time when there may have been some relation to another topic, shall we say, that was connected. For example, pilot watches. I think the military pilot element features prominently because the style, the large face, large numeral style of watches comes from the wartime interest that I have. And some, like, for example, the Russian watch, they were just purely unusual. So I had very little Soviet era artifacts. So I came across a pretty watch and I said, why not? You know, so in that case, it was a watch.
Okay, let's dive right in. The first piece is a local piece. Where did this come from, Simon?
That came from an antiques dealer in Malta who wasn't aware that the small print was actually a Maltese surname, Sesame. And so I bought it purely because it had a Maltese name on it.
Okay, so we did some homework about the Caesar, the branding on the face, and what we found out essentially is that Sesame were high-end jewelers, local high-end jewelers, in the 19th and early 20th century, and they used to import parts basically from Birmingham, from Switzerland, and from London. And they used to put pocket watches together effectively. And this is exactly what this is. And they used to brand it with the name, which obviously made it something prestigious locally. So
that might have been commissioned by a government employee because it has the British Royal Arms showing on it. Okay. Could have been a gift, a corporate gift, or a particular commission. So partly, shall we say, marketing, and partly what their products were about.
Fascinating, a really amazing piece. Roman numerals, it's got small seconds too at the bottom hand. Beautiful, on 6 o'clock dial. And it is, it's enamel. It's an enamel face, which makes it all the more local and enamel. With the history behind it, it's a lovely, lovely piece. Beautiful. It is sterling silver. The case is in silver. It's got a coat of arms at the front too. So it's a really beautiful piece. So without you knowing, I think you've really got a beautiful piece, yeah?
I bought it just because of the surname.
So much more to it. So our next piece is even more interesting for those who are watching it local, and not only local. Everybody knows that Simon is seriously big on Freemasonry. So what is the next watch, Simon?
Well, that's precisely it. I found a Masonic watch with a lot of Masonic symbols on the face. Allegedly a Rolex working, however, clearly more, I would say, of an artisan watch. You would be more, I would say, qualified to explain the technicalities of the
of the piece.
of the pieces.
Yeah. So you bought it because it's
I
Masonic.
wear it to Masonic meetings.
I wear it to Masonic meetings.
I take a ring and,
Okay. And your Masonic
occasionally
watch.
wear my Masonic watch.
It is really special because it's a marriage watch. Obviously, it is not an original Rolex, even though it was they tried to sell it as an original Rolex. Obviously, the case was purchased after. There is a strong possibility that the mechanism is Rolex, but then there is a lot of inscriptions on the watch which are Rolex. There's Rolex with Rolex Watch Company Limited, Geneva. We think that these were actually engraved at a later stage. So it is a project watch. It's even got a Masonic symbols at the back of it, yeah? Mm-hmm. It hasn't been polished. I would not say this is definitely not a recent piece. So let's go back. This time we're looking at something Russian. So what's the story behind this watch, Simon?
The main thing that captured my attention was the large diameter and the fact that it was Russian. It was kind of something different. Again, the aviation theme. On the face is the name of a pilot academy in Russia. It was convenient to be married to a Russian-speaking wife who was able to translate it for me because ChatGPT didn't exist at the time.
Oh my God.
So some Google searches and yes, I bought it purely because of the look, the size and the theme, if you like, which was unusual compared to other stuff I have.
Technically, it's a Zim. The Zim was a Russian brand which produced millions and millions of watches. Basically, very, very robust, typical Russian, no-nonsense watches. I suspect this is a commemorative piece from the 80s or 90s. It's many giveaways make me feel that it is not. It's a genuine Zim, as they did produce commemorative pieces, but it wouldn't have been one that would have been worn by an aviation soldier or anything of the sort. Not this watch, definitely not. But do you know why they actually made such huge watches?
No.
Basically, the size of a watch, both for divers and for aviation, for pilots, always had extremely clear numerals and had a big face. Basically, what the idea was that as soon as you looked at it, you could immediately figure out what the time was. Lovely. Okay, let's go on to another piece, which is going to be the Doxa. Where is the Doxa? There he is. There it is. Yes, the Doxa. So where did this one come from?
That was acquired from eBay as well. And again, it had a German wartime theme. I liked the pilot watch face. So it was purchased purely for its aesthetics and its wartime relevance.
Why are you so into, or you knew they were pilot watches, no?
Yes.
So why are you so into pilot watches? Because
they're the type of watch which attracts me purely because of all the other military themed items that I have.
So not the size, you don't like, but it is the size.
I like the large size and the clarity of pilot watches.
You weren't a pilot in your previous life.
No, I wasn't. I suppose the older I get, the more wise that decision would have been made.
We can hardly drive cars at low plane. In fact, it has two, just to move on a bit, and they're very similar. The Doxa and this Omega homage, again, it is not a genuine Omega, it's not a genuine Doxa. I would presume that the Doxa might have the movement inside, but it does have a lot of, they actually took the time and imprinted a lot of awards that Doxa would have got throughout the years. There's a 1904 award, and there are another 4 different ones, which are historical awards from Doxa. 1905, 1925. So, but again, it's an homage watch. Do you know anything about this one? This particular one? This is impressive. What's it?
That was one of the incidentals which came with another item. So I purchased that watch without even looking at it. It simply was the last negotiating factor for another item, and I was offered the watch to close the deal on the main
On something
item.
else. It's small about this particular piece. The glass is missing. It's a ceramic face, even though it's been damaged quite heavily, unfortunately. But it is a lovely, lovely piece. It's such a pity that the ceramic face, which I would suspect is very original, is so badly damaged, because at the back you have the brand Record. Record was turn of the century, very popular watch brand. If I'm not mistaken, it was purchased later on by Citizen. I'm not sure. I think it was Citizen. So yeah, it's a lovely piece. Again, you don't know. I think I'll take you watch shopping. You never know what you're buying. You keep buying the right pieces. And to crown it all off, there are a few other pieces, but to crown it all off, here Simon knew exactly what he was buying. I will superimpose more images of this fantastic piece. What's written on this plastic cheap watch box is personal gold watch for ceremonial occasions. We suspect, well, we know as a fact that this particular piece, we suspect this was written by the actual owner of the watch. And the owner of the watch is none other than Dom Mintoff. So, Simon, what is your fascination with? And first of all, I'll show off the piece. It is nothing more than very basic 34 millimeter, maybe, which was correct for the period. This is an 80s watch, definitely quartz. Does it work?
I wouldn't know.
No, probably.
I never...
It's a quartz, and probably the battery is stuck in there, and it's probably all.
It's probably worth not more than 30 or 40 euros. I would think.
No, not much more. It's a 34 millimeter, 1980s, definitely Seiko piece, which was actually worn by our previous prime minister. And how do you come across the piece?
Well, when in 2014 there was the big auction of his artifacts, I bought a few artifacts of his personal items, and the watch was one of the items. So I bought it for its historical value. Of course, Dom Mintoff was a very interesting character in Malta's history, and my main interest in the man has to do with the colonial period, which is the period that I specialize in terms of my collection. So Mintoff was the famous negotiator with Lord Carrington to get integration for Malta. And I purchased some items connected with his travels to London, like the briefcase where he carried all his integration papers. That's also in the cousin's collection. So presumably, the watch, the pen, the cufflinks, the briefcases, they kind of complete a selection of items of this very interesting personality from Malta's political past. I would say he and his tough negotiations probably made George Borch Oliver's work a bit easier when it came to getting independence.
If only the piece could talk.
Certainly not for its intrinsic value. It's probably the cheapest and most uninteresting watch in my collection. But then again, historically, it is probably the most
significant by far. I would go with the Mintoff watch, with the Zamit piece, which is really fascinating for me, at least personally, and then definitely this Record hand watch, which is fascinating. So that's it. We can go on forever with Simon, but it's been really fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for the time.
You're welcome.